Hey, this is a review or overview or whatever you want to call it of my ratchets and sockets. Start off over here. I've got snap-on 3/8 and 1/2 inch tech angle torque wrenches. There was a time when I used those all the time, working on Audi, Porsche, and Mercedes. They like a lot of stuff torqued with an angle. Now I don't work on those anymore. I work on normal cars, and I use the 1/2 inch for basically torquing lugs. That's about it. 1/2 inch breaker bars, 2 of them, long and short. It's in the wrong place. Breaker bars, not much to say. They're snap-on. That long snap-on 1/2 inch flex head ratchet is nice. A little bit shorter one. The shorter one is older. It has, I think that's like a 72 tooth, and the bigger one is an 80 tooth. The 80 tooth is nice. It's so smooth. Can't even hardly hear it. Listen to that. That's old. That's new. So, and then some soft handles. I don't know what they call those handles. Different ratchets, all flex head pretty much. This one right here is actually my favorite. I use that constantly. I'll show you, let me show you what I do when I'm adjusting a door. This is inside secret here. You go over to this here car, take your ratchet. A lot of times when somebody, this is for bodymen, nobody else cares. Most bodymen probably don't even care. When you're adjusting one of these strikers, this here ratchet is very nice to have. You can loosen them up, you take it off. But if you want to adjust this in a little bit without, and you don't want to whack it with a hammer, you loosen up the bottom one. You come in here and you put that in there and you bend it down, and that moves the bottom one in. And then you tighten that one and loosen the top one, and you come around and you grab it like that, and you lift it up, heave up on it, and that moves the top bolt in. And now you've moved the whole striker in, and you haven't changed the height because you've moved one at a time. And also, you got to remember that if you're adjusting a door and you can't figure out why it's still a little rough, it's not quite smooth, the angle of this a lot of times will be wrong. And if that angle is a little bit off, the door is going to bind. So you get that right, and poof, all of a sudden the door opens and closes like a champ. You'd be surprised how many guys can't figure that out. So that's that ratchet, and I use that almost all the time for everything. Let's get this socket off here now. Hold on. I'll leave it on there. Those other 2 ratchets are almost the same, except one has got a little bit of an angle that I don't really like, but I have it anyway. These flex heads, this small 1/4 inch size with a 3/8 head on there, that's pretty nice to have. The reason I have so many ratchets is, 1, because I like them, and 2, I tend to work on multiple jobs at one time, so I'll have one set of wrenches or ratchets in one car and another set in another car. Or if I'm working on a big job, sometimes I'll have a 10 on one ratchet, a 12 on another, and a 14 on a third, or whatever combination, just so I don't got to keep switching sockets. I know it sounds nuts, but I'm a little nuts. Air Tools, the 3/8 ratchet is that's from the early 90s. I don't use it that often anymore, but when you do, it's nice to have a nice one. That 1/2 inch impact is ancient. I'd like to get a new one of those lightweight ones, or cordless, but it's not going to happen right now. 3/8 rarely use anymore because I've got these cordless that I've also reviewed. The 14.4 1/4 inch air ratchet, the 14.4 3/8 impact, and the 1/4 inch impact. I use those all day, every day, except maybe not the air ratchet so much. Extensions, these are the regular ones, not the wobbles. I hate those wobbles, so just regular. all these things are in these cases, or in these packaging things that make it all look like it's new stuff. It's not. It's not new. Well, some of it is, but the extensions are same thing from the late 80s, early 90s. Most of them, they've been replaced. The ones that are knurled are, well, I guess they've all been replaced, because the original ones didn't have knurling on them, but those get lost and whatever. But like, I know these Torx are all from the 80s, 90s, but I have my Snap-on guy look out for these things, because sometimes he'll break up a set. He'll have a set on his truck, and he'll need one socket, so he just breaks up the whole socket, the whole set, and then he'll give me the cases, because I like them. So I've got Torx. These aren't the unbreakable ones, which are not unbreakable. These are the regular ones. I've got metric small, short 1/4 inch, metric medium 1/4 inch, metric long 1/4 inch, metric medium 3/8, metric deep 3/8, metric shallow, that's the word I'm looking for, shallow impact 3/8, medium impact 3/8, deep impact 3/8. These are odds and ends here that don't fit in these racks, so I just put them there. I've got these chrome Swivels, which a lot of guys don't like, but these work nice because they'll go into a tighter spot than the impact swivels. And I've got just one set of shallow metric impact swivels, some universal sockets and an adapter, 1/2 inch shallow impact, and then all these deep impacts. Basically, what is that, probably a 10 through, I don't know, whatever the biggest one is, I don't know, 36, pretty much everything. And these are a combination. Most all that stuff is all, in fact, all that's all Snap-on, but these are a combination of different things. OTC on the giant ones, because, you know, you're not going to break those unless maybe you're building bridges or something. So OTC is fine. The rest are Mac, and there's a couple of Snap-ons in there, and then some 12 points for I think those were for Audi hubs, some kind of hub. I needed these. Maybe they were Mercedes. Some cheap 1/2 inch extensions. Rarely use those. My lone set of standard sockets. These are inverted Torx, I guess they call them. Mercedes uses a lot of those. Giant Torx. These are something new. I don't even know what they're called. They're like Torque E or something like that. Ford makes you have those. Triple square or spline sockets. I have these Snap-on ones, and these are great. These are awesome, bulletproof. But then I bought this set, and you can buy this set. You'll see it in, usually comes in like a blue blow molded case, and cheap off of one of the trucks. I don't know, Maco or Snap-on, or not Snap-on, but Maco or Mac, one of those. And these freaking things are bulletproof, and they were cheap. Hold on, let me get one off here so I can see if it says anything for the brand. Is that, what does it say, S2 on there? Whatever. They are well worth the money. I mean, this thing, this big one, like on a subframe, rear subframe, or a rear diff on a like an SL or something, you got to heave on there with the biggest torque wrench you, or the biggest breaker bar you got, with an extension on it. And I never broke one. These things are Allen's from Mac, and you start off with this socket, 1/2 inch drive, and you take the size you want, you put it in there, and boom, you got a giant Allen socket. And that set's bulletproof. I have broken one of these, but it's warranted, so Mac guy got me a new one. These Mac ball drive Allens, I paid like $10 for. They're totally useless. They're so soft and cheap. Junk. Impact driver, that's a Snap-on, but I don't know that you necessarily need Snap-on. Metric, long Allens, short Allens, a variety of odds and ends, a spark plug socket, magnetic sockets. Those are nice. A little bit of a pain in the ass sometimes, but they're all right. Some Phillips and some random odds and ends there. This is a super deep 10mm from Snap-on. When you need it, that's nice to have. This is a special Audi socket for Q5 rear bumpers, but I use it for everything. It actually retains the nut in there, and it's a little bit deeper to go on that long stud. So that's nice. Those are some spares and my lone 1/4" socket. Anything else? That might be about it. Not a lot to say, but nonetheless, there's a lot of money in this drawer. And once again, I like the Snap-on stuff. I like the feel of it. I like the look of it. Some guys aren't into that, and that's cool. Especially now, things are a little bit different now than they were in the 80s and 90s, late 80s, 90s, up until the teens, really. Maybe the past 20 years, you could get decent, cheap tools. Back then you couldn't. All there was Craftsman, and I hate Craftsman stuff. It just, back then especially, now it's come around, but back then it just didn't feel good in your hand. You know, a good Snap-on ratchet just, man, it just feels nice. The chrome is nice, the feel is nice, the weight is nice. And if you're not into it, no problem, man. Don't buy it. But there's probably about, right there is probably about $7,000 worth of stuff. These torque wrenches are $500 each. If anybody wants to buy them, let me know. I'll sell them for about $500 a piece. I'm just kidding. That's it. All right, later.